Now that we know the content of these three chords, our Italian, our French, and our German, we're ready to identify things in some music. Now, just to review real quick, when we're down here in the Italian zone of Europe, we have the essential ingredients, flat 6, 1, and sharp 4. Okay, now to get, and we double the 1. Okay, so now when we move up to France, we're going north, we're going upward, and we add scale degree 2, a little bit higher, not a 1 now, but a 2. And then we go higher still up to Germany, and we add flat 3. So 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. If you can just visualize the map and do that in your mind, you'll remember what scale degrees go with each one of those. Intervallically, too, you've got a third above the bass, then a fourth and a fifth. You're just moving up by step. Okay, so now we're ready, now that we've got that information, to identify this chord. All right, now, I haven't written a key here. What key are we dealing with? Well, if you see this augmented 6, you know what it's going to be formed between, right? Flat 6 has to be in the bass, and that note up above forms an augmented 6. So we have an augmented 6 chord here, but I can tell the key. If I'm dealing with an augmented 6 chord and I've got that in the bass, it is flat 6. That's a flat 6. Now, if that's flat 6, the minor version of scale degree 6, then I can find my tonic in a hurry, right? Just go up a major third. So the tonic is E. Now I could write E major or minor, doesn't really matter which. But I've got the key center. I'm dealing with something in E major or E minor. That's my flat 6. Okay, now that I've got that figured out, flat 6 is my bass note. I need to see, do I have 1 doubled, or is there a 2, or is there a scale degree 3? We'll try the scale degree method first. Okay, here we go. We're in E, so that's 1. Ah, it's doubled. Okay, so when 1 is doubled, scale degree 1 is doubled, Italian 6 is the chord. So this is an Italian augmented 6 chord. Now, if I were to think intervallically, I would be thinking of it being the third above the bass that's stated twice. So either way works. The Italian is just, the figures are a shorthand, right? And 6 is a shorthand for 6 and 3. The scale degree 1 is the 3. And so we're doubling the third above the bass. 2 E's. Twice we get that interval. The third above. Okay, so that's Italian. Now, we've identified it. I also want to add an extra step now, which is the resolution. Okay, so let's look at this. You know what these notes need to do already, so there's hardly anything to learn with this. You know what flat 6 does. So let flat 6 do what it does. Flat 6 goes to 5. So we'll pull that guy down, half step to scale degree 5 in the key of E. It'll always move down like that by half step. Then you might as well take care of your other tendency tone as well. You know what sharp 4 does. This is our sharp 4. Scale degree 4 raised, and you know what that does as well. It goes to 5, but it goes by very short motion. Okay, so we've taken care of the tendency tones. Now, Italian, all of the augmented 6 chords, they're all predominant in function, so they're going to move to the 5. Big point then. So for resolution, you need to take your predominant augmented 6 chord to 5. Let's put 5 here and dominant there. All right. Now, you've got E twice. I really need a chordal third here, so one of them needs to get me to a D sharp. I need that leading tone to come in. Now, I don't want this E to do the same thing, because then I'll have parallel octaves. I want to maintain independence of parts. So let's take it to another chord tone. We're missing the 5th of this chord, so let's add it in there. There we go. We've got B, D sharp, F sharp, the dominant 5 in the key of E. Okay, so we wouldn't know, okay, what should I do with my E's? except that we know what chord we're going to. Now, the other two notes, the flat 6 and the sharp 4, well, you know what to do with them, so get them resolved. And then just move the other note, scale degree 1 and the Italian augmented 6. Take it in opposite directions. I could just as well have taken this E down, but if I do that, this one will have to go to F sharp. So as long as they're going contrary motion in completing this triad, I'm good. Okay, so that's resolution of the Italian 6. Now let's move over to our next example here. We want to identify this one as well. Again, the bass note's got to be flat 6. Okay, so what key would that mean that I'm in? If that's flat 6, what's 1? If you said G, you're right. So go up a major third, G. There it is. Okay, so we're always going to have flat 6 and 1, and one other note, sharp 4. Okay, so if we're in the key of G, what is that note? You said C sharp, you're right on. That's our sharp 4 right here. So flat 6 is in the bass, sharp 4 is up above, and that's what creates that augmented 6. Okay, but what kind of augmented 6 chord is it? This is the note we haven't accounted for yet, and it is scale degree 2. Good. And so what kind is this? What kind of augmented 6 are we dealing with? Now, you're not in Italy anymore. You just moved to France. So we need to move north. We moved up. We need the French 4/3 chord. Okay. Now that we've identified it, let's resolve it. Do the obvious things first. Tendency tones. Flat 6 goes to 5. Sharp 4 goes to 5. There, we took care of that. That's easy. Now, you know where this needs to go. Augmented 6 are predominant, so they're going to go to the dominant, or 5. Okay, so 5 in G is going to be a D major triad. Well, look what I can do with this A. I can just keep it. Smooth voice leading. If you can, keep a note, common tone. That's great. So smooth voice leading means I move the least possible distance. That's no distance. Perfect. And then we've got one more guy that needs to move somewhere. Our altos need a note, and we need the chordal third, so let's put it in there. Now we have a D major triad. So what's guiding our motion here where they're not tendency tones? It's just the goal of completing this chord, making the 5 happen. Now we're going to do the German. Okay, so if I have a German, let's put it over here so it's separate. I'll get rid of these guys. Okay, let's see. I can do the same key. I can do it in, let's do B. Okay, so if I have a German 6/5, it means there's going to have to be a 5th above the bass. Let's think this through real quick. All right, so if I'm in B, I need a flat 6 in the bass, which would be G. Let's do chorale style. So I need a tenor, I need an alto, soprano. Let's get the essentials first. So I know I need flat 6, sharp 4, and 1. Let's get those in there. Flat 6, sharp 4. So think in B and go to your 4, which is E, and then sharp it. There's our sharp 4. The other essential ingredient is 1. So let's get a B in there. Let's give that to the tenors. And then this is going to be kind of close, tight, closely squeezed together. We need one more note, and that is, if I want to think intervals, it'd be the 5th. So I need a D, a perfect 5th up. Or if I'm thinking of scale degrees, I'm moving, from 1 being doubled in the Italian to then adding 2 as the essential ingredient to make it the French 4/3. And now I'll add flat 3. Oh, good, that works, right? In B, flat 3 is D. In B minor, that's my 3. So perfect, I've got it. Okay, so that's the German 6/5. Now the main thing we want to be able to do is recognize it. And so look for this scale degree, flat 3, or that interval of a fifth. And that's the giveaway. You're dealing with the German 6/5. Okay, our main point here though is that we want to now resolve it. And the German 6/5 is tricky because of the fifth. Look what happens if I just go straight in to the dominant. The dominant in B, the 5, is an F sharp major chord, F sharp major. So let's say I just put everything where it would need to go if I did real smooth voice leading. First off, get those tendency tones resolved. Flat 6, down, sharp 4, up. Now, I know I need to realize the 5, so I'm going to move as smoothly as I can and get F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp in there. Now, do you see the problem with this? I mentioned the fifth. From here to here, G to D, and look what happens. It moves in parallel fifths. So you don't want to go directly to the dominant. Remember this, when you go to 5, go through a cadential 6/4. So we'll put a cadential 6/4 in there and then R5. So I'm basically going to delay these. Watch, it's a 2-stage process then. You get your tendency tones resolved and you just hang on to these other notes because guess what they form? A 6th and a 4th. Exactly what we need, right? So first you just take those tendency tones where they need to go and you sustain the other ones or re-articulate them, but keep them active. And then as your second step, pull them where they need to go to get to your 5. So I could just make these halves, do that, and let those other 2 guys move. So 2 stages. First, we do this resolution, that resolution. Take care of the tendency tones first. Then as a second step, right here, we got our second step going on. And here, what are we doing? We're resolving our cadential 6/4. The cadential 6/4. Just take it to your 5. Yeah? Okay, so there's my first step. And my second is this motion right there. Those 2 guys moving down. Keep them and then resolve them down. All right, so the German 6/5, remember this. The German 6/5 goes to a cadential 6/4 and then gets to its final destination, the 5. Okay, so quick review. You need to remember that you've got 2 ways of seeing which kind of chord you're dealing with. Is it Italian, French, or German? You can use scale degree content. The Italian has scale degree 1 doubled in it, but the French 4/3 adds scale degree 2, and the German 6/5 adds flat 3, the minor version of scale degree 3. But you've got this other avenue, another way to look at it too. If you find a 5th above the bass, it's German. If you find a 4th above the bass, it's French. And if the 3rd above the bass is doubled, then it's Italian. Okay, now when you go to resolve them, get your tendency tones going where they need to go and get to a 5 chord. Flesh out that 5. Make sure you got all the notes of it. But with the German 6/5, you need to remember that a cadential 6/4 is needed in between the German 6/5 and its resolution. And why do you need that cadential 6/4? To avoid parallel fifths that would otherwise come in there. You're obscuring them by putting in that cadential 6/4. You're making the part sound more independent by adding the cadential 6/4 in between the German 6/5 and the 5. Okay, so what we've seen is what's the content, how can you recognize these three different kinds of augmented sixth chord? So you know the scale degree content, and you also know the intervallic properties that it has moving from the bass up. Both of those are really helpful. And then the second thing we focused on is how, once you've got that chord, how do you resolve it? And it's as simple as making sure those tendency tones go where they need to go, and that you get to a 5, but you do so without parallel fifths. And that's it in a nutshell.